Assalamualaikum, my name is SHAMSULFAIZ. According to the news, it can be summarized that the increase of tobacco taxes can benefit health values. There are three main points highlighted on the benefits of tobacco taxation in Malaysia. The first benefit is tobacco taxation can decrease the smoking habit generally. It means that smokers will reduce their spending on cigarette consumption. In the long term, smokers are more likely to quit smoking. The second benefit is the increase of tobacco taxation can correct negative externalities in the tobacco industry. It actually gives the meaning that healthcare costs is much more important than loss of workers' productivity in the tobacco industry. The third benefit that has been focused in the news is more government revenue can be generated by increasing the tobacco taxation. Government can use the tax to develop more relevant projects for the public. Furthermore, public health is also underlined in the news whereby optimizing tax strategies can maximize revenue, reduce cigarette consumption, and improve health. At last, the government must increase the excise tax for cigarettes because tobacco taxes represent a triple victory for the government to improve the health values in the country. Generally, taxation is the imposition of compulsory levies by the government on individuals or entities all around the world. From income tax to goods and services tax (GST), taxation applies to all levels. Taxation is used by the government to raise revenue for any expenditures or serve as other purposes for the benefit for the society. Taxation is important as it is part of the sources of income for the government, and all the money spent by the government should be presented to the public because the citizens are the taxpayers. The basic objective of taxation is to raise resources for the state. Also, it can be used to reduce inequalities, to accelerate economic development, as a tool to regulate consumption, imports and exports, in addition to its basic objective, which is to raising revenues.
Assalamualaikum, my name is Nur Muhammad Shafi bin Abdul Aziz, and I will continue with the types of taxes in Malaysia. So, as we know, tax is a compulsory contribution to state revenue levied by the government on workers' income and business profits, or added to the cost of some goods, services, and transactions. According to the news, the tobacco taxation is exercised under excise duty, which is under the indirect tax. But before that, I will explain the two types of tax, in which direct tax and indirect tax. Okay, I will explain about the direct tax. So, direct tax is a tax which is levied on the income or profits of the person who pays it rather than on goods or services. For example, firstly, income tax, which is a tax levied directly on personal income. Secondly, real property gains tax, which is a tax levied by the Inland Revenue Board (IRB) on chargeable gains derived from the disposal of real property. This tax is provided for in the Real Property Gains Tax Act 1976. Thirdly, petroleum income tax, which is a tax levied annually, which is for each accounting period of 12 months duration on net profit of a petroleum taxpayer who is carrying out the business of petroleum exploration and production. Now I will explain about indirect tax. Indirect tax is a tax levied on goods and services rather than on income or profits. For example, firstly, goods and services tax. Tax on goods and services is defined as all taxes levied on the production, extraction, sale, transfer, leasing or delivery of goods, rendering of services, the use of goods or permission to use goods, or to perform activities. For example, sales and services tax (SST) and goods and services tax (GST). Secondly, customs duty. Customs duty refers to the tax imposed on goods when they are transported across international borders. Thirdly, stamp duty, which is a duty levied on the legal recognition of certain documents. Fourthly, excise duty. As I mentioned before, in Malaysia, tobacco taxation is exercised under excise duty. Excise duty is levied on the sale of specific goods and services such as tobacco. And excise duty is imposed on the supplier or the producer, who then includes it in the product price. Other than tobacco, there are other goods that have been covered under excise duty, such as sugar-sweetened beverage, liquor, motor vehicles, mahjong tiles, and playing card.
Assalamualaikum and hi. My name is NURIN binti SHAMSUL. So the next presentation is regarding on the advantages of excise tax. According to the Ministry of Finance in 2021, the total revenue for excise tax is RM 9,760 million, which equal to 4.4% from the total government's revenue. Other than that, the tax is easy to collect with the provision governed under the Excise Act 1976. Next, it can influence behavior of the people to uphold the public health. For example, by imposing excise tax, it can lessen the consumption of goods that contain excise tax. As a result, it can promote good lifestyle and safe environment. Other than goods like alcohol, tobacco, motor vehicle and others, there is also tax imposed for sugar-sweetened beverages. It is to reduce the availability of sugary drinks in the market, especially to the school children. It also to improve the quality of life of the community and control of the obesity. Next, we move to the disadvantages of excise tax. So the first one is it can increase the price of goods. Due to the increment of the excise tax, it directly make the price of goods rise. For example, Malaysia government has governed the SST exemption, or known as cuti cukai, starting from June 2020 due to COVID-19. However, the price of goods like cars will increase by 10% in July if the government decide not to extend the SST exemption. Other than that, it will also decrease demand of the product or goods. Due to the exemption of SST, it make price decrease. But if the government didn't want to extend it, the price of goods will be rise, directly make the demand decrease.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Athirah binti Muhammad AZLI. Next, I will explain about the advantages increasing tobacco taxation in the context of news. It consists of two, which is for the first one, it will reduce the smoking behavior and also it can increase the government revenue. So for the first advantage is it will reduce the smoking behavior, which is one of the advantage of excise tax and increasing in tobacco taxation, where it can influence behavior for broader social and environmental goals, where with the increase in tobacco taxation, this indirectly increase the price of tobacco. With the increase in the price of cigarette and tobacco, it indirectly make a person stop being a smoker. When someone stops smoking, they can save their money to buy other necessities. As know that smoking is not a good habit, but it can lead to a worse situation such as death, cancer, and also lead to increase the health risk. According to Dr. Arifin, has stated that more than 7 million people died because of cigarette and around 1.2 million of people were exposed to the substance of this cigarette smoke. He also mentioned that the approximate from the data around 4.8 million smokers in Malaysia, 27 and 2,000 deaths of Malaysia each year are related to smoking. With this statement can be proof that smoking is a really bad habit that can lead towards death and other worse illness. And by increasing the tobacco taxation, it will help to decrease and reduce smoking behavior. This can be proved by study by Michael. In their study, it appears that increased taxes also have an association with the percentage of smokers that tried to quit the past 12 months in the United States. Based on their analysis, suggests that an additional 25% in cigarette tax was associated with the estimate 0.67% increase in the percentage of active smokers that reported trying to quit smoking. With this study proved that with increasing tobacco taxation indirectly will decrease the smoking behavior toward Malaysian people and can lead to be more harmonized country that have a good health. For the next advantage is will increase government revenue. According to Tinjauan Ekonomi 2020, the revenue of tobacco products tax collection reached 2.6 billion. Here it can be seen that the increase in tobacco taxation indirectly increased the country revenue. As we know that tax are one of the main revenue of government. With increasing the taxation cost, it will lead toward increasing the revenue of country. The good side, when government get revenue, then government can provide a lot of things towards the people, for example, such as by spending the revenue they receive as presented in the budget. Budget presented each year to show what the government has done and what they will give to the people. In other words, it is about government spending. Government spending enables governments to generate or acquire goods and services that are required to meet the government's social and economic goals. Among the example is with the government making program to help the people such as BPR Bantuan Prihatin Rakyat, BKM Bantuan Keluarga Malaysia, create a road, bridge, school and the others. With the increase in the revenue, this country not only give benefit toward government but indirectly give benefit toward people in the country. So next, I will explain on the related act on tobacco taxation. The related act is under Excise Duty Act 1976. Among the important points in this act is that excise duty is a duty prescribed by the minister under Section 6. Excise Act 1976 imposed on dutiable goods manufactured by companies licensed under Section 20, Excise Act 1976. For now, the relevant act is Excise Duty Act. This is because, as discussed, tobacco is covered under excise duty. If the government wants to increase the tax rate on tobacco, it is through imposing high excise duty on the goods. All items are charged. This excise duty is subject to Excise Duty Act. For the additional information, according to Harian Metro, government tried to working to enact a new act, namely the Tobacco Control Act, or known as Akta Kawalan Tembakau.
So next, we move to the consequences from the increment in tax for tobacco. The first one, it will stimulate illegal market. The government announced in the budget of 2022 that a tax of RM1.20 for each milliliter of vape liquid for both nicotine and non-nicotine will be effective 1 January 2022. Therefore, it made the consumer seek out cheaper or untaxed goods. This allows large-scale criminal organization, which resulting to increased supply to fulfill black market demand. For example, Malaysia recorded more than RM5.1 billion in 2018 due to the sale, corruption and sale of illegal cigarettes. Other than that, it can increase the burden of the treatment costs. According to WHO, smoking habits cause about 7 million deaths worldwide each year. This is due to the illegal market which sell illegal cigarettes. As for Malaysia, the effect of tobacco cigarette show that government will have to bear the burden of treatment costs RM7 billion by 2025.
Although the implication in increasing tobacco tax will discouraging an extremely unhealthy addiction that costs countless lives, it actually seems like a slam dunk, but in reality rests its ugly head. It turns out that the cigarette sales are what economists refer to as price inelastic, which means that when the price goes up, demand does not change all that much. Basically, a lot of people will pay whatever it takes to get their nick fix. So, when tobacco taxes go up by any prices, most smokers do not change their habits at all, even though a few, about small percentage, quit entirely. Although that may not be enough to get the tobacco companies to tap out, every little bit helps. As mentioned by AFRINA just now, that the implication in increasing the tobacco tax will increase the burden of the treatment costs. This is due to an increase of electronic cigarettes. Are e-cigarettes less harmful than regular cigarettes? Well, the answer is yes. But that doesn't mean e-cigarettes are safe. E-cigarettes also generally contains fewer toxic chemicals than the deadly mix 7000 chemical in smoke from regular cigarettes. Nevertheless, e-cigarettes also is not harmless. It can contain harmful and potentially harmful substances, including nicotine, heavy metals like lead, volatile organic compounds, and cancer-causing agents. E-cigarettes are known by many different names. They are sometimes called by e-cigs, mods, vapes, and many more. Despite the fact that e-cigarettes are less harmful than regular cigarettes, it's still considered as a devastating social impact upon community life, since e-cigarettes can be used to deliver marijuana and other drugs. Nicotine is a drug, and e-cigarettes containing nicotine are drug delivery devices. Health Canada has always treated them as such, which makes Canada's laws governing devices are among the most restrictive in the world. Not all cigarettes contain nicotine, and selling non-nicotine cigarettes is legal in Canada. Some jurisdictions that currently allow e-cigarettes, such as United Kingdom and the European Union, are planning to regulate them as drugs. However, in the United States, e-cigarettes have flourished in the virtual absence of regulatory controls. Meanwhile, in Malaysia, on 27 January 2022, the Health Ministry announced plans to ban tobacco and other smoking products for those born after 2005. Further clarification revealed that the proposed ban will also cover vape and vaping products. Despite all the negative impacts from the implication in increasing tobacco tax, we can't neglect that tobacco tax increase exerts a small but positive effect in the presence of low conditional tobacco price elasticity. If the population is more responsive to tobacco price changes or participation elasticity estimates are included, then they will experience even more gains from the health and work benefits. Tobacco taxes are considered an effective policy tool to reduce tobacco consumption and produce long-run benefits that outweigh the costs associated with the price increase. Through this policy, some of the most adverse effects and economic costs of smoking can be reduced, including shorter life expectancy, higher medical expenses, added years of disability among smokers, and the effects of secondhand smoke. Thus, higher tobacco taxes are good for government revenue, because the 10% increase in price does not result in a 10% reduction in consumption. In other words, even though tobacco consumption decreases, the percentage in increase in the excise tax per unit is greater than the percentage decrease in tobacco consumption. Therefore, more government revenue can generated by increasing tobacco taxation. Tobacco taxes did not achieve a victory for the government by improving health, reducing associated costs, and increasing tax revenues.